America, and I'm an operations and product manager. I'm also a community builder. Thanks to the GatherVerse team, I'm joining here as a moderator. So I will be your moderator for today's panel. And before we kick off, I'd like for you to introduce yourself and tell me where you're joining in from, and then we'll get started. I would like to start with you, James, and then we'll go to Anish before Lynn. So please, James, unmute your mic and introduce yourself and tell us where you're joining in.
Thank you, Salvation. What a beautiful name.
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm dialing in from Mindful Mountain in the mountains of Allentown, Pennsylvania. I am James Welniak, and I am the director of Mindfulness and Focus with Cup Advisory. I am advising clients to unravel and mitigate the riddle of our age. How artificial am I? This is accomplished with a modernized Serenity playbook called a Mindful Relationship with Information, MRI for short, to balance, protect the self, and even razor sharpen focus. I'm also the face of screen addiction, recovery, prevention, and transformation. This was me in June 2023. My clients have a face for the disease and know they are not alone. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you very much, James, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you very much. We're happy to have you on the panel
Thank
today.
you.
Anish, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anish Bhaiti. I am an Australian citizen. I've lived in Australia for about a decade, but I'm currently joining in from India. I run a business called as Train My Brain. I'm a qualified chartered accountant turned into an Ikigai coach. So very much similar to what James is doing, mindfulness. Um, it's a beautiful journey, and I'm hoping to add some more value into today's discussion. Let's see. I'm always open for opportunities where I can help people design their life, not live by default. So thank you very much for having me, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Anish. Very welcome on the panel. It's so good to have someone on the mindfulness journey as well. Thank you. Lynn, please.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're from. My name is Lynn Guitar, the Communications Director for GatherVerse. We welcome you here for this panel, and I'm very, very excited to see what we have for today. Thank you, Salvation, for having us.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Thank you so much. Let's get started. Are you ready, panelists?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. So today's conversation concerns us. And the one question that comes to mind before I joined this panel section was, do our financial system really put people first? And when I think of human-centered finance, I don't just think of fintech application and algorithms. I think of people like you and I, Anish, James, and Lynn. And we are people, and the financial system is built for us. And people need stability. They need a fair chance at everything, whether it's in business or in education or career. They need to trust the system that is designed for them. And then this will bring me to the first question for today's panel. James, I'd like for you to start with us and share with us what you think. Where does the financial accessibility, where does financial accessibility, sorry, let me get a question. Yes, sorry. Where does financial accessibility fail most, and how can that be addressed globally?
That is a powerful question, and I think I listened in a little bit when they were calling it something about verifiability. And so within Cup Advisory, which is the organization that I work with, we use the trinity of being human, which is mind, body, spirit. And so I will apply this through that lens. So for mind, what I would say is that people don't understand complex systems. Make money tools clear. And one example I can give you is my mother. She passed away a couple of years ago from cancer. She was a retired professional nursing, and she had so many problems with screens, and working through fraud. And then it goes into the body. Money can't afford fees or travel. Many people can't afford People can't afford screens. They can't afford. So when you have healthcare and you have finances all through a screen, you have to take that human connection, that human sentiment, that mind, body, spirit. And then the last one is spirit. So it's not about spirituality, it's about your emotions, respect, identity, respect where you're from, culture. Look where we're at. We're dialed in all over the world. And so if we follow these principles, these mind, body, spirit principles, I think we can have a healthier and balanced and transformative experience in the age of AI. I would love your sentiments. What do you think of that?
No, thank you very much, James. And I'm really sorry about your mother. I would say I agree with you on that when you say identity. I love the word identity. And so thank you so much for sharing that with us. Anish, what's your take on this?
So I really like this quote. It says that it's very simple to make things complicated, and it's very complex to make things simple. I think a lot of people face a problem with respect to, like, as James was telling, what the kind of difficulty which his mother faced. So I mean, like, if we can make the documentation very simple, if we can make the fees and the policies, and like, it's such a thick document, when you actually go into a banking system, and you have to read so many documentation before you sign up. You don't even know what you're signing up for. So if you can make it very simple, if you can just make the complex form like just one pager, so that basic details. You can also have, like, a lot of places we have English only apps, so we can also think in terms of making it very like a vernacular. Like in India, we have so many states, we have so many languages. So if I think of India, maybe if they can make like a specific region specific app which can help. Maybe icon-based navigation, if that is possible, voice support, maybe having a human answering, not an AI answering your problems. So those are some of the things which I personally feel that the first point of contact, as we usually say, should be very smooth, relaxed, and simple. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anish. I totally agree with you on that. I'm also a product manager myself. So I think UX should be simple, less complex, more human connected, and real. Lorna, I see you've joined us. Thank you for joining the Grand Panel table section. Before I come to you, Lynn, please, Lorna, introduce yourself and tell us where you're joining us from.
Hi, I'm Lorna McFarland, and I'm joining from Moreno Valley, California. Sorry for sounding a little stuffy. I was under the weather the last 4 days, but I was determined to get out of the bed into the shower and be here to celebrate with you all and share what we have to offer.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lorna, and I'm so sorry about your health. It's good to see you here. Thank you for being determined. Thank you so much. And Lynn, I'd like for you, before we come back, Lynn, I'd like for you to take us through the next question. What does universal financial participation look like in a digital world?
Yeah, so for me, financial participation for me means everyone having the access to financial resources, everyone having access to financial well-being or economic opportunities. It's not just about having the finances, but can we just talk about the opportunities that bring in financial resources? So until we have, we're a place whereby each and every person around the world has an equal right to financial opportunity, then for me, that is where financial participation looks like. In a digital world, and before even we go to the digital world, how many of us have access to the fiat currency itself? How many people come into contact with the fiat, that is the physical money itself? I've done some study, and there's some shocking statistic, especially maybe in a country like here in Kenya, whereby over so many people are living under $1. Can you imagine?
Wow.
I don't have the exact statistic, but we can check it out. We have people living under $1, and these people have families to feed. and these people have bills to pay. And so when you're talking even about digital world, can we just look at the people who live under $1 a day, or that is equal to 100 shillings a day? How do you get these people to have a decent financial participation? And then that is where we can bring in the digital world. Can we drag that right now to the digital side of it? But first of all, let's give financial opportunity to everyone. Thank you.
Lynn. Thank you very much. I really cannot imagine people living on that $8. That's sad.
And it's
Sharing that with us, Lynn. Thank you. Lorna, let's follow up on this question with you, Lorna. What do you think?
I think that if we make it possible for them to have access, say, to some digital products that won't cost them any money to invest in, like a budget planner or a budget tracker or goal setting thing, some sort of like digital products that they can be able to tailorize to whatever type of customer it is, then if those things, even if they just sold them for $5 each, and we showed them how they could sell one a day, that's like $150 in a month. So what is that? 150xing their current income. And even if all of them were coming together using the same cell phone and 10 people being able to work off of one phone, they could probably in the course of a week begin to change their situation. And then we could help them to scale from there. And then I wanted to piggyback on the earlier point about making it easy for people to have accessibility to the bank accounts and things like that. Sometimes instead of them, you having to call in 5, 6, 7 times with your struggle, if they just made it the protocol to say, do you give me permission to share your screen so I can help you to get through this application in 2 minutes? Because sometimes people feel a little embarrassed or intimidated to say, I don't understand. I don't even know what these words mean. So they say, oh, I'll call back or I'll come back. And it could be a month or two before they get back to it. And so same thing, we can help them this fast as ChatGPT can give us an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anish, I saw you, James, rather, I saw you nodding. Would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting how we used to call, I'm 52, so I'm going to show my age. So we used to call it common sense. And now common sense has been rebranded to mindfulness. Because here's the thing. It's about clarity and confidence and inclusion. And so you should know what you're signing up for. Think about, well, in America, we are programmed to be productive. And so when you go to sign anything, a bank loan, anything, there's all screens and you just have to sign, do. Do you know what you're signing? You go to Instagram. Does that teenager know that they have sacrificed and given their entire identity that has traces all the way through? This is the crisis of our age because we are giving away our identity. And so it's like we have got to look at this from a mind, body, spirit, human lens, because otherwise we will lose. You shouldn't have to have a cell phone to live. Think about how much money kids are not getting food because their mom has to pay for a screen around the world. And I was in not Africa, I was in Brazil in October for 10 days for a wedding, and I observed Brazil is 10 years behind America, and it's shocking to see as an observer to see how much how people don't connect. They sit at a table now with a phone versus with each other, and it made me cry. So when we get back to this, that has to be the start of the conversation. How artificial are we? How artificial is this solution? How artificial is this product? And that measure then goes up against the human connection. That's our value. How does this make me feel? Does it make me scared because I can't read the text, or too many notifications like my mother, or they're stealing from me, Jimmy, help me? Having to call the bank president, and get them on the phone. This is the madness, the mindlessness world that we live in.
Thank you, James. Thank you for putting it that way, James. I think we all get it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for letting us talk.
Thanks. Anish, let me come with you on this one. Which human needs should guide every financial innovation? I see you're also part of the financial industry as well. You have some experience in that industry. Can you please share with us on this?
Sure. So this reminds me, I did one UPW, Unleash the Power Within Tony Robbins' very famous sort of program. I did that in Sydney, and he talks about 6 human needs. So he talks about certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance, contribution, and growth. So I just want to focus more on the lines of love and connection. It might sound like a cliche, but I personally feel that when a financial institution is coming up with innovative products, it's never about increasing the options. It's all about how much anxiety they reduce. There's a lot of anxiety, which product should I be choosing, etc. So you are giving them options, but the whole idea is, are you able to reduce the anxiety? So let me just give you an example, like simple task like auto debit. We all forget. There are so many bills which we have to pay. If we just simply forget, there is a lot of stress, there is a lot of anxiety around it. So the fear of forgetting, if you can simply use that auto debit bill payment, if that works, this will just help that individual to release the anxiety, release the stress. There are things like building clarity around the product, building the trust. I think trust is very important, because I was just listening to Russell and Christopher before, and they did talk about trust. And obviously that is one of the human need, which is very, very important when you are dealing with a financial institution, because you are putting your money there, you are putting your savings there, and you want to have that sort of a trust and bond and connection, basically. Emotional safety is another one, and I also think that an individual should feel a sense of control of their own finance. So they should be able to make their own decision with the guidance, with the feedback, with the pointers. That's fine, but they should feel in control. So yeah, that's my.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I also think so. I agree with you on everything you pointed out, especially when it comes to trust. Because without trust in the system, it's difficult to get people involved. People need transparency. They need to know that we're safe here, and that reduces anxiety. So I totally agree with you, Anish. Thank you very much. Lynn, do you have something to add to this?
Absolutely, yeah. I just want to echo what Anish said, and this is something that has been doing the rounds since we started the Money Summit. That is trust. We've had Christopher and Russell, we've had it from other panels. When we talk about trust, it's about how do we get people to really just be in tune with what you're creating? And for me, the best way I could answer that is empathy. If you're empathetic, the financial system is really empathetic with the people who are using them. That is the bankers of the world, the financial investments of the world, all the financial systems that we have. If they are really empathetic with the users, sorry to use users, I've been told not to say people are users, but let me just use the word users. If they're very empathetic with the users, that is how you gain the trust with them. So I absolutely love the idea of trust, and let's make it happen by conversations like this.
Yes, Lynn, thank you very much. I would say too that trust is very important. Even as I build products and then I write user stories for the ideal users, let me borrow a word there, Lynn. I have to make sure what I am creating, the story I am creating, is for people that are real, because they are the people to use this product. And without them trusting this product, I am unable to sell to them. And it's very important I consider their emotions, I consider their situations, and I consider their environment before I create a product for them. So it's very important to build with trust, to build with inclusion, to build with transparency. Thank you very much for that, Lynn. Lorna, let's come to you with this on culture. What role should culture play in the redesign of financial systems?
The role that culture should play in the design of financial systems is being mindful. Like if you, I know we talked about cell phones earlier, but have you ever noticed how like Boost Mobile, they used to have it where you could have the voice of the person talking to you on the phone to sound like a young person or sound kind of what's the word? I don't want to say hood or something like that, but just like the group. So I think that in terms of, can you repeat the first part again as the Dayquil is talking?
Okay, yes, sure. What role should culture play in the redesign of financial system? That is like, say for example, a group of people in the geographics and they want to build up something in that environment. What role
Okay.
can culture play in building the financial system?
Okay. So I think that of the role that culture could play is to offer and educate about something that's going to be uh, that particular culture would be able to grasp. For example, say people that live in an area in, say, the United States or something like that, where the median home value is only $80,000. So then maybe instead of trying to show people how they can save for 30 years to get a house in some different area, show them how they can maybe come together and get, say, some manufactured home or something like that for $70,000 that's attainable for their income in their neighborhood, and then later on that property could become their first rental income, and then later on they could be able to qualify for a mortgage to do something better. But instead of making it seem like you have to save up for a $700,000 house, when it do you kind of feel what I'm saying, to
Yes,
make
I do.
something that's tailored and attainable for them, instead of just something where you're encouraging people to continue to believe that the best that they can do is paying someone else's mortgage.
Thank you, thank you. I like the word tailor down to the group of people. I really like that. James, you want to add to this?
Yeah, let me take myself off mute. Yeah, I love this one because culture. We hear so much about what AI can do for businesses, what it can do to make things cheaper. What about we create an AI ambassador for culture so that actually it saves it, so people remember. And so we have so much culture, so many subcultures that are being lost because of screens. People are losing their sense of self. They're losing their sense of community, their sense of purpose. I understand. It happened to me and it happening to my clients. So when we look at it from a culture aspect, I think AI has to understand what that means. And that is by simplifying a words. Hey, if it's called a hood, then it's called a hood in your culture. We can't simplify everything down to one piece. We have to keep the culture piece. So if we design solutions, specifically AI, create an AI culture ambassador, not just for your organization, but for your people. So that way, that history is not lost. It's not lost in books when books are not used anymore. It seems like a little strange idea, but it's like, let's shift. We can use AI and AI technology to even train people in other parts of the world how to save money. An AI agent can actually teach them how to do this. And then you can actually develop an AI that is culturally understands the challenges and the things and can send them reminders. It's a coach in a way where it helps them about how to save in your particular ecosystem and where you are then, so they don't have to have the dollar a day that an AI or an agent knows. It knows and understands and empathizes with you and is your I will, I am, I know agent of culture and of purpose. And so when we look at it from that human lens, we have the technology to make all these different solutions and to support cultures and subcultures. We just have to change the way we think about AI.
James, I see you bringing the AI angle to this on culture, and that's brilliant. That you have a point there. But earlier on, Anish said something about when he goes to the bank and then he goes to the customer service and he wants to call on the customer, he doesn't want to be met with an AI too. And Anish,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like, it's not you
yeah.
have an option. You have an option to be, I want to be human. I don't want to talk to, I can't tell you how many scam calls I get in America. I get like 6 a day. Nobody calls me. And
Oh,
that's why nobody calls anymore in America, because everybody's getting, this. And we have laws in this country. Why is this happening? And this is what addiction, this is how screen addiction, phone addiction starts. It hooks in. It's called secondhand smoking. Remember that? We are all becoming affected, even if we don't have a phone. And that's where we have to change the conversation about AI, AI. No, have the option. I want to opt out. I want
okay.
a card. I want to have that ability, because that's human. That's called embodiment of a physical object. You actually have sentiments and emotional connection to physical objects. We remove everything physical in our lives, we're going to be depressed and sad.
Anish, I see you smiling there. Would you like to add something to this?
Well, again, I agree with James because
Oh, yay!
I would also prefer. I mean, AI as a tool, amazing, but I would certainly prefer like human connection. Even on phone or even in circle, in a social circle, I would rather prefer to have human to human connection. Coming to the question, I would say that culture actually defines how people save money, how they spend money, how they want to invest their money. What is their definition of money? So just to give an example, like in Asia, people prefer to save money. Okay, they want to save first and then spend later. So if they can design in Asian countries, if they can design a system where they promote personal savings, that will help that community. Say, for example, US and maybe Australia. In that case, we have a culture of BNPL, buy now, pay later. So if you can design something around that culture, people will, basically gel with that sort of a product. In Africa, if I may, I would say that it's more community-based finance. So they prefer things which reflect the group trust model. So if you can create something around the group or the community, it will really work well. In maybe Muslim, countries, they prefer something which is Sharia compliant, financial system. If they do something around that, so basically each community, each group, each culture has their own sort of definition about how they want to save, how they want to spend, how they want to invest the money. So if you can just design the financial system around what they need, I think that will help. So it's not like one size fits all. It's basically culture specific. So that's my input for that question.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, James, Lorna. I think you three shared something very much important there. Lynn, a lot has been said on culture. Let me come to you with the next question. How can shared prosperity become measurable beyond income?
Definitely. But let me just add something on culture because I'm also
All right.
passionate about it.
All right.
You see, culture is how people reason, and it's subject to a community or a location or a passing of tradition, right? Culture is how people are influenced in thinking by the reason of staying together. And so when it comes to money, as Anish had said, it's just subject to communities, right? There's how maybe the Muslim culture handles money. There's how the African, not even the African, personally, I come from a tribe called Kikuyu. There's how Kikuyu handle money, and it has been passed on from generations to generations. So if we can crack the code for each culture and customize the financial system for each culture, I think for me that would also create a prosperous future. And now, just to answer on this current question that we have here, how do we how can shared prosperity become measurable beyond income? I was listening to the first panel, and prosperity came across to me as something that is relative. For some, it's fulfillment when it comes to family. For some, it's education. For some, it's money, right? And so for me, it depends with how you define prosperity for yourself. For some, it's health. If I'm healthy, I'm prosperous. So it really goes down to even an individual or a family.
Oh, we lost Lynn there. We lost Lynn there. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Um, I'll come back to you, Lorna. How do policy frameworks support or hinder human-centered finance? Oh, we're talking about policy now. What kind of policy can support or hinder the finance for humans?
Are you on me? Did you say Lorna?
Yes, yes. We lost Lynn on the
Oh,
previous question. Due to our time, let's move to the
well,
next
so
question.
some of the policies that can hinder are just certain some rules and regulations that different cities and jurisdictions may have. Like, for instance, you may have a family that's had 10 acres of land in the family for the last 40 years, but nobody has come and told them that, did you know that you could do a lot split on your property? And did you know that even if the code said you can only have one house every 4 acres, you could apply for a variance so that you and your family could split this up and get a different parcel number and address for each property. And like I said, even if they start off building a little small home or a new manufactured home, so sometimes it's there's restrictions that the information isn't dissipated enough so people don't know that they're actually sitting on everything that they've dreamed of, everything that they might want to do, like to be able to have an additional property or have a bigger home or a newer home or be able to maybe even build a small business on there or a little small restaurant or a little small community center right on property that they may already have that's free and clear or that they could leverage and pull some of the equity or something like that. So um, that's my thing, is that there really are a lot of ways people can leverage what they already have, but they're unaware. And I thank God for this platform that is going to be able to spread like wildfire, and people will be able to hear the different nuggets that each of us are bringing. And if they just can grab one and share it with someone, it can begin to make a massive difference.
Thank you. Lorna shared a lot there. She shared more on support. James, I want you to just briefly, tell us more of the hindrances.
So the hindrance to me is all about safety at this point. And I talk about, and Anish, you talked about fear, anxiety. And so systems, frameworks should focus on protection of the mind, body, spirit. So that's intention with alerts, screens. You walk into a restaurant, I walk into my gym as an addict. I had to teach myself to not look, and I teach my clients the same way. I shouldn't have to walk into a gym in America and see 60 screens. Maybe that's a little overboard, but when you're actually driving in a car and you got a screen in your car and then you got a screen on billboards that are taking you away. I met Eileen Miller. Her son was killed in Illinois. So the Paul Miller's law, but distracted driving. Our policies in America, we have to have some type of screen law in the future to protect our focus, because all that distraction, guys, is causing us fear. Fear. We're being told something, shown something, buy something, look at me. Well, you know what? You're not looking at yourself and the person next to you, and it's killing your nervous system. There's so much research out there. That's what we should do. Our focus should be on protecting the human.
Protection. Thank you very much. Let me come with this for you, Anish. What design choices make digital finance truly accessible to all literacy levels?
Um, so I think, again, just coming back to my response to the very first question, like how we can make it more visual, how we can make the navigation very smooth, how we can make it in the local language, how we can how we can make it very frictionless rather than just making them go through a lot of steps. How we can make make it jargon free. Like these are just some of the things which I personally feel that if you can just design the system around making it very user friendly, making it easy for them to access, I think that will help. So yeah, that's my
Yeah. Thank you for that. I have this comment. It's a comment I read somewhere, and it says, if a grandmother, a teenager, and a new immigrant can use a system without explanation, then the design is accessible. Because
very
accessibility
true.
means designing with the people, not just for them. So
Mm.
I totally agree with you on that. Aline, you have something to add to this?
Yes, definitely. I'm going to give an example when it comes to design. And Kenya is the home for M-Pesa. M-Pesa is a financial system that you can send money from any part of the world. Currently, now it's from any part of the world with just SMS. And how it began is just through SIM card transactions. And what happened was people from the rural village were depending so much on the people from the urban side who were making an income to send some money back home. So there was no point, or there was no place of how they could do it. The banking system was weak by then. And someone just came up with a solution and said, how can we send money to the village? How can we make sure our grandmothers, our nieces in the village can have access to financial money? And they came up with M-Pesa. And the most attractive thing of M-Pesa was how easy it was to use. It was like sending a message. Just click this button, send money, write the number, and then boom, the amount, and then send. And within a minute, your grandmother could receive the money. It was so easy, and it could even have a Swahili option such that anyone who speaks Swahili can understand what they're doing. So they incorporated the language, they incorporated accessible devices, they incorporated everything that most people have access to. And that is how it became adopted, not only in Kenya, but also in Africa. And I'm seeing the world looking at what is this M-Pesa? How can we make more use of it? So when it comes to design, it's about the simplicity. Can it incorporate even the language of the locals who are using it? Can it be accessible to all devices for the people who don't even have access to internet? So that's basically about design. Make it as simple as possible.
Exactly, Lynn. I totally agree with you on that. I also think that without people using a product or an innovation, it is not innovative. So that's really right there. And great solution with the MBSAT thing. That's really beautiful. We don't have much time on our side. I'd like for us to just move in quickly with the next question and try to wrap it up briefly with this last one. How can the success of inclusive finance be measured beyond transaction volume? Lorna, I'm coming to you now, Lorna. Briefly, just tell us, how can the success of inclusive finance be measured beyond transaction volume?
I think when you look at things that seem like, say you take Cash App, for example, something that was designed to help people who do not have a bank account now be able to have access to have direct deposit to their paycheck. But what about the fact that if somebody's minor child or something is somewhere, say it's some college party and something goes wrong, and now they can be able to use that to be able to call for a Uber, even if they're hiding in a bathroom or they're in some remote village and worried about maybe being taken in human traffic. So something that started off as one way is now a way without going to maybe a dangerous area or unsafe area, an area they can go and let somebody know their location, get someone to send them money, be able to use this technology to pay and get an Uber or something, and then the minute the notification comes, they can dash out and be safe. So there's just all these other ways that something that's designed for one thing can be impacting saving somebody's daughter, son, grandchild, preventing a human trafficking, preventing a date rape. And so I'm just looking at the human aspect of how we can go from one thing but be able to be a blessing in so many other ways that are not thought about.
Thank you, Lorna. I'm really enjoying this conversation, and I wish we have more time on our side. But let's try to wrap it up briefly in one statement, James. What is the future of human-centered financial system in an evolving world? In our world now, what is the future? One
The
sentence.
future, is emotion. It's a human
Ooh.
sentiment. That's what it is. How do people feel? Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Do you feel protected? Do you have more time?
Powerful. Thank you. Anish, one sentence. Tell us, what's the future
Yeah.
of human-centered?
So I would say that since AI is coming up in the future, near future, it is already here and it's going to come in a big way. How about AI tool predicting your financial stress early and giving you some signal? Okay. It might just tell you, hey, you look very stressed today. Don't buy something today. Something like a warning, application that speak local language in a story format. Like, the way we explain to kids or if we are trying to explain something, we just form a story. How about an application explaining you like a difficult sort of a very complex product in a very simple, fun, experiential and a story format? Like these are like a couple of things which came into my mind in terms of, where the future, is stepping into. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I also agree with you on that. Lynn, share with us, what does the future look like for us in the human-centered financial system?
Worldwide humanity.
Hmm. Yes, that's also it. Humanity. Thank you, Lona. Please.
Caring.
Caring. These are beautiful words, and these are really beautiful words. Panelists, I really enjoyed my time on today's panel section. I hope the world come together to see the need to build for humans, with humans, and for the future of humanity. It was a beautiful conversation. Till we see you again, thank you so much for joining this panel section. Thank you for sharing everything you shared, the insights, the perspective. They were all brilliant and beautiful. Audience, please follow our panelists, our speakers. They are leaders in their field. Go follow them on their LinkedIn's. And till we see you again, Gada was well. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, GatherVerse team. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
Bye bye now.
Thank you so